played a poker live stream so bad that it's actually never seeing the light of day. That's a career first for me. Do you know how bad I had to play on that stream for me to say that? And I'm sitting here in the car and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, no, I'll probably give it a few days. I'll probably post it in the future. Nope. It would literally be worse for my mental health for this to ever see the light of day on any platform ever than any good would come from posting it. Like, I just cannot see a way in which this doesn't hurt me once again.
The most challenging part of playing a poker live stream isn't even the poker. It's the fact that if you make a mistake, it's going to get publicized in front of hundreds of thousands of people. Not only will that most of the time lose you some money, but it'll also be really embarrassing. My friends and I are back in Austin, Texas to play a 1-3 live stream at Red Star Social. Truthfully, this is the second stream that this live stream has ever run. It's new, but one thing we could definitely expect is a little friendly fire.
Yesterday we were in New Jersey, today we're in Austin. Play some poker on a live stream. It's gonna be fun. My girl Brittany hit me up. She was like, you gotta come play the stream. You gotta check it out, a new place in Austin. So here we are. We're just playing 1-3, although I imagine the straddle is gonna be on. This kid's playing it too.
Not only is Corey playing, but another friendly foe is also in the mix.
Well, crypto.
The evil villain.
That's right, Crypto Max, your resident Austin whale. Knowing Max, we were gonna battle, but hopefully we would be on the right side of things.
Oh my god.
I'm seat 8.
We're in for $1,000, and in the very first hand, it's me versus Max. And spoiler alert, one of our stacks was about to be very at play. Max raises from early position to $15 before the cutoff calls, the button calls, and I call on the big blind with King Jack offsuit. I think in this spot, maybe a 3-bet could have been okay from me as well, but it was very early on in the stream at this point, so I didn't know how wide people were opening, but it turns out it wouldn't matter because the flop is King 6 with 2 spades. That's an absolute dream, but I think I can make the most money here by checking and evaluating what my opponents are gonna do. So that's what I do. And I do get a little action because Max bets $15, but the cutoff and the button both fold. Given the fact that it's Max betting, I choose to just call. I don't really want to fold out his bluffs, and trust me, you guys, he can have a lot of them. However, that would change on the turn, which comes the 3 of diamonds. I check once again, and he bets $30 this time. With 2 flush draws now on the board, this river could get pretty dicey. So at this point, I'm gonna charge him if he wants to see it. I make it $100 and he quickly makes the call. Before the river comes the 9 of clubs. This means that everything has bricked. So if I'm analyzing Max's range correctly, he either has a bricked flush draw, which isn't even calling anything I bet anyway, or he might have a hand with some showdown value that might think that I have a missed flush draw. Obviously, I don't have that. But if he's not calling me with a missed flush draw anyway, I might as well go for the absolute max versus a hand that could call. I go all in, but he pretty quickly folds, and it turns out he had a missed flush draw. Fair enough. A couple hands later, and we have officially started the nit game. Basically what that means is that each player gets a button. You get rid of your button by winning a hand, and the last player with their button owes a small tax. In this game, that tax was $150, which would be paid in the form of a splash bot. But I had already gotten rid of my nit button, which is something that's very important to remember in this next hand. In this hand, the $20 straddle is on, so I raise from early position to $65 with pocket kings. Now, like I said before, I've gotten rid of my nit button, but nobody else at the table has. So I'm not really surprised to see that I actually get 3-bet here. He makes it 200 and everybody starts to fold until we get back around to the straddle. He seems to really like his cards because he goes all in for $900, which I just absolutely love to see with pocket kings. I mean, I lose to one hand, so I have an unbelievable chance to win a ton of money here. So I go all in as well, but unfortunately, I get snapped off by the early position player who has pocket aces. Ew. I mean, in game, you see me kind of laugh because I'm really not the player to get all flustered over a cooler. But I mean, I have to admit, this hand is kind of insane because then the straddle shows me pocket jacks. What a setup! King, one time, please! But unfortunately, the king doesn't come, and I'm stacked really early on in the stream. Not fun, but also no getting away with that one. So I rebought, and went on to play the next hand. In this next hand, the $20 straddle was on again, so I'm first to act, and I look down at King 10 of spades. That's 40% of a royal flush, so I make it $60 to go. Before Max calls on the button, Brittany calls from the big blind, and Tanner calls in the straddle. So we actually go 4 ways to a flop of Queen Jack 6 rainbow. Brittany checks, Tanner checks, and even though I'm technically open-ended here, which means I have caught a little bit of this board, I don't think I want to bet into 4 people. I'd rather just realize my equity and not bloat this pot any more than it already has been. So I check and Max checks back. Before the turn comes the 5 of diamonds. Don't think that should have helped anybody too much unless they, I guess, have like 5-6 or something. So I'm not surprised to see Brittany check, but then Tanner goes all in for almost 1.5x pot, mind you. I'm not super convinced by his sizing. I mean, if he did have a super strong hand here, like let's say that he turned a set, wouldn't it make more sense to bet like half pot and then just jam river? You kind of have the perfect stack size for it. I don't know, to me it read a little bit more like a draw, but it's really tough for me to make the call still because I have a draw myself. So what's he repping, like 10-9? I don't know, I couldn't quite figure it out, but it's a stream and I'm not one to shy away from the action. So I actually do make the call and both of the other opponents in the hand make the fold. That's something I was pretty happy to see, to be honest. But I was even happier to see that he shows me 9-8 offsuit. And I mean, say what you want about Tanner, but one thing I've always respected about his game is that when he senses weakness, he's not afraid to go for it. And I mean, I did check flop, so I'm sure that if he expected to get called, it wasn't from me. But then something happens where, oh my gosh, I was losing my mind on this stream. You can literally see it in the footage. The river comes the 9 of spades, giving me a straight, but him a pair. Max's smart ass from across the table goes, oh, he has a pair. And I genuinely think that Max is so dumb that he doesn't realize that I've rivered a straight. So after I made a borderline disrespectful hero call with King High, I add insult to injury, responding to Max's needle, going, oh no, I've rivered a straight. No shit, Abby. Immediately my face is like completely flushed in embarrassment. I would never say something like that because I thought it was so obvious, especially when my opponent was all in and we had just gotten into that huge hand, so he's down 2 buy-ins now. It's bad etiquette, and I genuinely only said something because of Max. I was so embarrassed and definitely out for blood versus Max, but hopefully Tanner doesn't hold that against me. Anyway, so I know I've said the $20 straddle has been on the past couple hands, but in this hand, the $40 straddle is on. This game is getting out of control. And who's in the straddle but none other than Mr. Corey Eyring. But I'm not afraid because I have a premium, pocket tens. I make it $125 to go, and it folds around to Corey in the straddle, who makes the call with a hand that, guys, I'm convinced he plays this hand way more than he should. But I guess the value of doing it is that I could never put him on this hand. The flop, honestly, it sucks. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It's 5, 6, 7 with 2 diamonds. Ooh. And what's worse is that Corey now leads out for $60. Yeah, well, this favors him, that's for sure. So can't say I'm necessarily surprised, but I'm also not folding. I make the call and the turn comes another 7. Actually kind of an interesting card because now if he had something like 5, 6, I can actually beat that. Obviously still losing to a 7, but when he bets again for 125, I can't go anywhere just yet. I thought he could also have a lot of draws in the form of any 8x or 4x hands, all of which would completely brick this river. It's the Jack of Hearts, and now Corey leads for 150. What an interesting line. At this point, he's only betting like 22% pot. So I flick in the call and he shows me the losing hand. Absolutely love to see that, especially after all those needles from him. But then this next hand happens, and now I'm the one who's gonna have to set my bluff. An important thing to note is that also the $80 straddle is on in this hand. So much for 1-3. I look down at pocket 6s in the hijack and raise it up to 200. I mean, it's not actually that crazy considering the $80 straddle was on, but it's like a tenth of my stack. Whatever. The cutoff makes the call, and we go heads up to a flop of 7, 8, 9 with 2 diamonds. So I have an open-ended straight draw, backdoor diamonds, bottom pair. I have everything on this board. And even though I was first to act, I actually just raised from the hijack because of how many straddles there were. So in terms of ranges, this could actually hit a lot of my range. All this to say, I'm not slowing down. So I bet 125 before my opponent thinks forever before making the call. The turn is actually a very interesting one because it's the ace of diamonds. Interesting turn because at this point, the only thing I can really beat is a missed straight draw, which is probably gonna fold turn anyway, unless it has like diamonds as well. But any of the hands that he should have floated flop with are gonna be really uncomfortable facing a triple barrel here. And if I bet and I do get called, there's literally a million billion cards in this deck that could improve my hand. So I bet 275, which is a very interesting number because if I get called, my stack to pot ratio on the river is going to be 1. All this to say, if I don't improve and I need to bluff, I have the perfect stack to do it. And that's exactly what happens. The river comes the 8 of hearts, meaning I'm left with a decision. Do I risk it all and go for it in the biggest pot of the day? Or do I play it safe, check, and almost undoubtedly lose? Well, like I said before, almost any hand that he has is absolutely going to hate a jam here. So I go all in, and he's in the tank. For about 20 seconds before calling with a hand that I really thought would fold. Also thought he might 3-bet that pre-flop, but okay.
Just tried to get a big bluff through. Did not work. I literally put him in exactly what he had too, so that really sucks. I'm number one surprised he didn't 3-bet pre-flop with that strong of an ace, and I'm actually a little bit surprised he didn't fold river, but if he would have been. On to the next, third and final bullet though for today. This is it.
Okay, that hand got out of control, but it was also partially because, you know, the straddle was to $80. So I was a little bit relieved to see that in this next hand, only the $10 straddle was on. Although admittedly, a certain part of me kind of wanted the straddles to be on even more because, I mean, now I'm stuck 2K. Anyway, in this hand, Corey raises the hijack to $30. It folds around to the small blind who calls. I make the call with Queen 8 offsuit in the big blind, and my nemesis in the straddle makes the call as well. The flop comes Queen 8-5 with 2 hearts. That's definitely an above average flop for me, but I'm out of position to the pre-flop aggressor. So unfortunately for me, it actually checks through. The turn isn't awesome. It's the 9 of diamonds, which means that 10 jack definitely gets there, but I can't be scared of monsters under the bed. So when the small blind checks to me, I bet $50 to see my op fold, Corey fold, and the small blind make the call. As if the turn wasn't bad enough, the river now comes the jack of clubs. I have, at this point, the easiest check back in the entire world, but my opponent isn't gonna make it that easy. He bets $300 now, and I'm faced with a decision. I mean, sure, hearts miss, but I'm not really worried about hearts because this sizing tells me that he's basically saying, I either have a 10 or I have nothing. Can't really blame him for going for it, but in my heart of hearts, I really just thought he had a 10, so I end up making the fold and am actually correct for once in my life. Let's go. Always feels good to be making the right fold, but I know something that feels a little better. The $40 straddle is on once again, and I look down at King Jack offsuit before making it $125 to go. It folds around to the straddle who goes all in, and what's really important to note about this straddle is that he doesn't normally play 1-3. In fact, when I heard he was gonna be on the live stream, I was a little confused as to why he was playing at all. I mean, this guy normally plays high stakes, and I mean, I guess the $80 straddle has been on, but my point is to say, he does not always have to be doing this with a super strong hand. So I snap him off, and he doesn't have a super strong hand. I'm thrilled to see it, but at this point, I'm stuck so much that I can't even watch, just run the board.
So we got Catboy all in with Queen 10-0, and Abby with the King Jack O.
Oh, sorry, Abby. Fuck no. Give her an ace. She needs an ace. Oh, shit. Holy shit. Oh,
Abby
my
take
God.
this first board.
I think at this point I was having a little bit of PTSD because I look up, literally half expecting to have lost, but end up scooping it. I guess we'll take it though. I don't know. Now, at this point in the stream, you might be thinking, wow, you guys have been all in a lot. I already know I'm gonna get some comments too that are like, this isn't poker, this is gambling. I'm like, what do you think poker is? First of all. Second of all, What about this next hand? There's a $20 straddle on and a super nitty player under the gun limps. Not really worried about him. Corey limps. Not really worried about him. But then Brittany makes it $150. A little worried about her. But the problem is that I actually don't see that she's made it $150. I think she's made it $100. It was honestly just one of those things with how she had thrown out her chips were just perfectly angled so that I couldn't see the extra $50. So I choose to 3-bet not all in this time. I make it $300 before the dealer spreads out her bet and I realize that I've min-clicked her. Oh my God. And she actually says here, I don't know what to make of this. Fair enough, girl. I also wouldn't know what to make of that because I haven't min-clicked her once in my life. But she makes the call anyway, which is definitely a little spooky to me. The flop comes queen 3 deuce with 2 hearts. And even though I've completely whiffed this board, I definitely have to rep it. So I bet $175 and she thinks it over before making the call. The turn is the 3 of spades, which changes nothing. But now the problem is whether or not I should bet. She has the perfect stack size remaining for me to go all in, but I don't know that I can get her to fold a super strong hand, and if I don't think I can get her to fold a queen, I think this is just torching money. I don't know, it's kind of an awkward spot. I don't really think she's floating me with any worse ace highs on the flop, and she's definitely folding king high, so she definitely has the best hand, and if I don't think I can get her to fold the best hand, I check, she goes all in, and I give up and just fold. Nick game was on in that one, so she does actually show me jacks, which, yeah, I was a little bit surprised to see, but at the same time, not really. I don't know, it was kind of a weird hand, but so is this next one. The Nick game is still on, and it's down to the final 2 players, me and another guy. In this hand, Max has put on the $50 straddle. Corey's under the gun and limps. Before it folds around to me on the button, I look down at 7-8 of hearts and go all in for 1.2K. Everyone's starting to fold, but Max doesn't fold. He actually goes all in over my original jam. That's not great, but then Corey starts to tank, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I run into here? Eventually though, Corey does let it go, and I find out that I'm up against King 9 suited. When given the option, I always like to go twice. So when he asks me how many times I want to run it, I hit him with the peace sign. It's definitely gonna be tough for me to scoop, especially on a 4-4 deuce board on the first run out, but then I hit a 7 on the river and actually managed to hold, meaning I win the first board and get rid of my nit button. At this point, I'm expecting a chop, especially when the board comes ace 6-10 all diamonds. Turns another ace, so I'm drawing super slim here, but all of my outs are still live. And I actually hit one on the river. I don't know how, but we managed to find a way to win both of those runouts with the worst hand pre-flop. Also, this seems like the perfect time to needle the shit out of Max. Remember earlier how he said, pair on the river, when I had river to straight? Well, guess who hit a pair on the river this time, Max? And guess who hit a straight? Let's go. Poker karma, gotta love it. One thing I don't necessarily love though is that once again in this stream, the $80 straddle is on. That is, until I look down at ace king. Then, I absolutely love that this straddle's on. I make it $225 to go, and it folds around to Max, who goes all in. Absolutely love to see that, so I snap his ass off, and then he tells me he hasn't looked at his hand. That means I have absolutely no idea what I need to dodge. So, because I literally have PTSD at this point, I put my head down once again. I don't want to see the run out. There are 4 hearts on the board, and Max hasn't looked at his hand. He peels the first one. It's a black 6. So now I lose to any heart or any other card that matches any of the cards on the board. Terrifying. But luckily for me, he has a queen. So we managed to win a really big one, which brings us up to actually above even this time. We have just under $4,000 in our stack. Before this next hand happens, that would change the tune of my whole day. On every dealer change, we were playing a bomb pot. Basically, you get dealt 4 cards, you have to use 2. There are 2 boards that get run, and you have to win both of the boards in order to scoop the pot. I'm gonna spare you guys a lot of the details here. Basically, I play this hand absolutely horribly and multi-way, so I lose everything.
Crypto Max. Not much of anything. Keller with 2 pairs.
It looks like TJ is recognizing the power of his hand and is going to go ahead and pile.
Yeah. I mean, I think we see Tanner get in here, right? He's got a mirror on the top and then a wrap on the bottom. Abby has a better wrap now, I'm realizing, on the top. I couldn't see her hand prior. I see it now.
Yeah, with
Or on the bottom, I should say.
Yeah, with a pair.
With top pair.
That's gonna be some straights.
There we go.
I think.
Abby with not a lot here.
This is a $8,000 pot here.
Yeah, we got a huge one right now. So we're gonna see the 2 of diamonds go to the bottom. That's gonna lock it up for Tanner on that board, and the 2 of clubs up top. So Keller and Tanner are gonna chop it up.
And what was even worse is that I gave it to a kid who I knew I was never getting that money back from, legit. He was the type of player that once he went up, he started VPipping 0%, and it was just never coming back, unfortunately. So I left. I was so unbelievably tilted and frustrated with myself. And yeah, I mean, I just really had an insane lack of discipline on that last one. So what am I gonna do? Free buy and give him some more? No freaking way.
If I could pick between getting one-outered every single time or playing bad, I would pick one-outered every single time, because legitimately there is nothing in this world that is more frustrating than punting and thinking this might be a punt, but I don't know what to do, and doing it anyway, and it being a punt and you not improving. And for what it's worth, this hand that I just played, double board PLO bomb pot, I literally was thinking to myself, I'd have to get really lucky to win this hand. And yet I went all in anyway. I don't know why I did that. On the way to getting good at poker, there's always going to be a time period where you're doing things that the people that you previously associated with when it comes to like hand histories are not going to understand. And that's really hard, and it sucks, because then everybody's going to see you as this gigantic punter. And yeah, sometimes you might be when you're trying new things. Like, that's a reality of the situation. That could definitely be happening. But the other reality is that there's going to be a period of time where nobody understands you, for better or for worse, whether or not you're right or wrong. So, and if you can make it through that, I'm convinced you can make it through anything. But having the confidence to be like, no, this was right, it just didn't work out, in the face of everybody whose opinions you used to respect and trust and value, that's hard. And that takes a toll on you. You gotta persevere, I guess. Man, I hate losing money.
Poker is a game where emotions run really high. And when you're playing with your own money and you're risking things and trying different things and you're wrong a lot of the time, there are a lot of emotions that come with that. I mean, honestly, I didn't think this vlog would ever see the light of day. I was like distraught. This was the biggest loss I've booked in a long time, and that hurts. And the worst part is, it was my fault, you know? I mean, I think I played that hand horribly, but with each new day comes a new day to get better and prove yourself. So when I went to the lodge the next night and ran into the game runner there, it kind of felt like a sign. I wanted to play again. And this time I was determined to play very differently.